Welcome to Black Migrations. We're talking about the internal slave trade. From 1791 to 1804, black people on the island of Saint-Domingue waged revolution against France and won, becoming the first black republic, Haiti. A lot of these Haitians, they moved to Charleston, South Carolina, to Philly, Cuba, mostly to New Orleans, and that scared a lot of people. They didn't want another Haitian revolution, especially on American soil. So that, on top of abolitionist work, led to the closure of the Transatlantic slave trade in Britain in 1807, and then in the United States in 1808. But you know, the Haitian Revolution also did something else. Like, the revolution was so serious, so expensive, right, to France, that it forced them to sell Louisiana territory to the United States at a cheap price. And that allowed the United States to move westward, right, into places that became Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, right, that area. And so what I'm trying to say is that the Haitian Revolution, the closure of the transatlantic slave trade, and America's ability to move westward led to a brand new economy in our country. This economy mostly favored planter elites, slave owners in the Chesapeake, meaning Virginia and Maryland. This was the motherland of American slavery. Those Virginia farming techniques were not that great. The tobacco, the indigo, tore up their soil. You can't plant that all the time, right? So it's way more profitable for them to sell their slaves into the deep south than to have them on their own plantations, because they weren't that great of farmers, to be honest. Let's not forget that slave owners in New Orleans were hella cocky. They thought they could be what Saint-Domingue was, right? Planting sugar cane. It didn't grow as well as they thought it would, but cotton and sugar cane were grown in the deep south. As far as migrations go, you have this new cotton plantation economy in the deep south, and they need slaves to be working it. So slaves are forced from, say, Virginia into Kentucky in these things called slave coffles, chained up, by their wrists, by their neck, while, say the slave trader is in the wagon. So they walk Virginia to Kentucky, put in a slave pen, right? This cabin-like structure with 2 floors. The men are on the top, the women and children are on the bottom, because they were scared that a gendered alliance would lead to a rebellion. The slave trader, he or she would have, all these black people in the slave pen for however many days it took, that they collect enough slaves that they can make a good enough profit. Once you had been in a slave pen for a while, you're sold down the river, down the Mississippi. Think cities like Natchez, Mississippi, or New Orleans, right? You get put on an auction block. People from rural areas, from urban areas, they come and they're purchasing slaves. And so basically the Deep South becomes the hub for the Cotton Kingdom and for black life. But I want you to understand this. The black people were not just slaves. We cleared the southern forests and created the plantations. We picked the cotton and cut the sugar cane. Black women birthed the laborers of chattel slavery while performing the same back-breaking work that the black men did. Black people created the economy that made America a wealthy nation with immense global power.